So today we're going to see what all the things we can make with heavy cream. Now, this is just on a standing mixer, but it's several ways to make all of these things from heavy cream. If you don't have a standing mixer, you can either use just a bowl and a whisk. It's going to take a little bit longer because it is a process and it does take time, but you can also do it that way. Or I've seen people use a mason jar and just shake it up and use it. Either way, you're going to get a really good result out of this. And we're going to make about maybe 3 products out of this heavy cream. And you'll see as it goes what all the things you can do with a thing of heavy cream. This heavy cream is from Sam's Club, and we used the whole 32 ounces of it. Okay, so now we're getting into the stage of making whipped cream. So the first thing that you will see is the heavy cream thickening up, and you are able to get first whipped cream out of heavy cream as you go throughout this process. And as you keep going, you'll see the many other things that you can do with heavy cream. This is in preparation for us having our goats, which we do plan to milk our goats and one day maybe have a cow or so. And that way just gives me practice on how this process will work and what it takes to actually make some of these great products that you can make in the store that you don't even think of when it comes to milk. Because when you are milking a cow or goats, you will bring in a lot of milk because you have to milk every day. And as the milk sits, it forms into the cream, which is what we get from the store, which is heavy cream that settles on top of milk. And once you can get the cream, then you can make these things such as your heavy cream you have, your whipped cream, and now this is forming into butter. So this is really what I wanted you to see in this video is how easy it is to make butter now. There was a method long ago that you had to churn butter, and it took people, I'm sure, a long time. And it's one of those fats that we don't think about the process of how it's made. But this is one way that you can make homemade butter. It makes it a little easier if you want to do some butter that's like, I guess not an infused butter, but a compound butter. So the butter will already be kind of softened. You can mix in different spices and herbs and keep that in the refrigerator for about a week or two. This butter does go bad quickly, so you will see at the end of the video that I reserve some to keep into the refrigerator, and then some will go into the freezer just so we can keep it a little bit longer. But it does not last like the shelf life of butter that you receive in the store, which you should question anyway of how things have that long of a shelf life. And what you'll also see throughout this process too is as the butter starts to form these curds and get a little tougher, they'll form into more of a ball. And what you're left with is a liquid at the bottom, which is your buttermilk. Now, this is a sweeter buttermilk than what you would find in your normal stores. Buttermilks tend to have more of like a tang to it in the store, but this is a sweeter cream buttermilk. And this also can be used like you use buttermilk in a cornbread, or people use it as pancakes, or if you have biscuits, anything like that that you would use butter, that's what you would use in place of. So right now, the butter has formed into all of it's starting to harden and form into a ball. So what you're going to do is just take all those bits off the whisk. We're going to form it into a ball, and your next step for the butter is to make sure you get all of the buttermilk out so that your butter does not spoil quickly. So there is our butter in the bowl, and then the remainder of it is our buttermilk that we made. And you see there, those are 3 products that you can make from heavy cream. So now we're going to go and rinse our butter. We're going to strain the rest of our buttermilk into a container and refrigerate it. And this lasts again in the refrigerator for about a week or two. Remember to do a sniff test because you never know. So just to check and make sure. But it made about that half a quart of buttermilk. And again, you can use this in place of recipes for bread making. If you want a buttermilk flavor, biscuits, cornbread, something like that. Some people do fried chicken and do buttermilk, marinate the chicken in buttermilk. So whatever you would use for regular buttermilk, there you go. Now we have our bowl into the sink. And what we're going to do is just squeeze the remainder of this buttermilk out of the butter. What you're looking for is for the water to run clearly after you've rinsed it a couple times. So you want to continue this process until all of the water coming off of the butter is a clear color and it's not cloudy anymore. And that way you ensure that all of the buttermilk is out of the butter. And you can, have your butter in the refrigerator without it spoiling because it has no excess moisture in it. After I rinse it under the water, I squeeze it a few times too to make sure I get all of the liquids out. And I'm going to take those gloves off and change it to some, cleaner gloves so it's not wet. And then I put the butter onto parchment paper also as I separate it into different pieces so that I am able to put them, the ones in the refrigerator, and the ones keeping longer into the freezer. All right, and there we have our butter. We just form it into a ball, and we're going to take it over to our scale. I personally like to form the butter into what would be your normal 4-ounce butter in the store, the sticks of butter. So we use our scale, and you're just going to make sure the scale is on ounces so that you can weigh it out. Weighing out this butter, for this 32 ounce, I made about 12 and a half ounces of butter. So that's about 3 sticks of your normal butter. So I'm going to separate them into 4-ounce butter sticks. So this is how our sticks of butter look. And we're going to put these butter and, again, weigh them out into 4-ounce little sticks of butter like you would get in the store. So it's a little easier to use if I need it for a certain recipe and have to measure out what a half stick of butter or half a cup of butter or something like that. So I just know when I'm using it in different recipes how to separate the sticks. And you'll see that this makes, again, 3 sticks of butter. And you can also use, like I said, one of them because they're already kind of softened. If you want to make a good garlic butter or something like that and make a compound butter, this is the easiest time to do it because you could just put that into a jar, add some like garlic and basil into it. If you don't use the whole thing, all you have to do is freeze the rest of it, and you can form it into something like this. Or if you just want to put it into parchment paper and throw it in the freezer, that's your prerogative. This is our 4-ounce sticks of butter, and I'm just gonna put 2 of them into a quart freezer bag and just freeze them up. And that's all.